Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Hey everybody, happy Thursday night. We are here at the end of June and excited to be here tonight with another great guest. But before we get to tonight's guest, I want to talk a little bit about a few things that are going on here. Some of you joined us during the past hour. We were live at the historic Scott County Jail doing a brief investigation there. It's kind of a short investigation. You know how those go. Sometimes it's very active. Sometimes it's more of the subtleties. But a lot of you joined us during that time and functioned as our eyes and ears while Chris was there at the jail. I am back here at the farmhouse. Chris was there at the jail by herself. I was moderating, answering, responding to different questions and putting those out there for her. And so I want to say thank you all for watching that. We had a couple really interesting things happen. And, you know, those of you that are investigators, sometimes it's the things that don't happen that are just as interesting as the things that do. So we're going back and reviewing that footage, and hopefully we got some really cool things. So I am a little bit under the weather here and enjoying my tea, my immune boost tea with a little bit of Jack Daniels in it there. So it's going to be a good show. But so again, we, if we weren't on live last week, we did have tours there at Historic Rugby. For Historic Rugby After Dark, we had our North Village Lantern Tour as well as our Village Lantern Tours. They had an event there, the Adult Summer Camp. And so they pretty much booked our tours out all Thursday through Saturday night. So it was an honor to be a part of that event and for them to include us as their excursions. And so we're looking forward to more partnerships like that. So we weren't able to do a show last week at the jail or a show here for this, but the week before that, we did have Mr. Michael Lasciana on, and he was gracious enough to share some of his different evidence and different captures that he's had at different locations. We sat there, we played those, we talked about them. It was a lot of fun. So we hope that you'll go back and watch that. Like I said, I think tonight's topic, I think we're going to have a lot of people that is going to want to get involved in tonight's topic. So just want to say hello briefly to the folks over here in the chat room. Hello to Ms. Nancy Weems, Sonia Thompson, Mr. Bob Burnell. Thank you all so much for watching us. Hello again, Ms. Janet Alm, all the way out in Arizona. I know it is sure hot here. I hope you're staying cool down there or over there. Kim Brady, hello, Mr. James Brady. Looking forward to trying some of those new tools that we talked about this weekend, new paranormal tools. Mr. Daryl Paulette with the Clover Hill Village. And yep, got my hot toddy here, Nancy. And JD just does make it all better. Some Tennessee whiskey there. Kimberly, yes, definitely a good tea. Yep. I totally agree with that. That's so funny. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight here. We do have tours that are that we've got going on this coming weekend. We've also got guided ghost hunts that are coming up. One of the tours, we do have the North Village tour there at Rugby, as well as the Village tour. We do still have some spots for those available this weekend, as well as our flashlight tours at the jail. We're pretty booked up here during the month of July as far as investigations go. But if you are interested in booking one, I think we have some Sundays as well as maybe a Friday or two available there at the historic Scott County Jail and historic Rugby After Dark. So if you are interested in booking one of those, we do all of our bookings online. You can either visit historyhighwayshaunts.com, and it's got a link to both the jail and to historic Rugby, or you can go to historicscottcojail.com as a direct link there to the jails page. So if you're not following us on Historic Rugby After Dark, it's all things historic rugby and all of our different tours and different things going on. I highly suggest going over there and checking that out as well. So, anyways, I think we need to go ahead and get to tonight's guest because, as I kind of teased a little bit earlier, he is extremely busy and has a lot of really cool things going on. If you've watched the show in the past, tonight's guest, Mr. Larry Eissler, he was on the show. I guess it's been about 2 years since they were on. He and Dan were on then, but he's got a lot going on since, and we're going to talk about a really cool topic tonight. We're going to talk about AI and the paranormal. So get your questions together, and we'll kind of talk about that. But I want to go ahead and bring Mr. Larry on and actually let him introduce himself because, again, he's got some really great projects going on. So, hello.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time out to come and join us tonight.
Sure.
Yeah,
Has it really been 2 years though?
I really think it has.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I think I think I had you on in July, not long after I came back from actually meeting you guys. So I think that's been 2
Yeah,
years.
yeah, it has been. And I'm still
Yeah.
working on that documentary.
It's a lot of
Oh,
work.
it is. And every time I go to sit down to work on it, like something else is like, hey, I need your attention first. Like, okay.
Yep. Well, and
So
you're kind of I see you, you're a professional and I see you probably being a perfectionist when it comes to your production work.
I can be. I can be. And sometimes that means starting all from the beginning again because the final piece just doesn't fit together anymore.
Yes.
And you just got to make it work. So back to the beginning.
Well, I've really got to experience your filmmaking and videography and all of that whenever I got to meet you in person. And I got to say, you guys put out a quality product, and I was very impressed at just the detail and the thought that you put in to putting out this great product.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we had you walking around in the July heat in jeans and a leather jacket and boots
Yes.
and walking on a very fresh asphalt layer on the road there, completely unbeknownst to us. They just did that. But
They did that for me. They knew I was gonna be up there and
yeah,
yeah,
they knew you were coming, so they got to make it look real good and smooth, but also
that's
add
right.
about 50 degrees just to make you
Exactly.
miserable. But
Exactly.
but yeah, I try to think of as many things as I can especially when it came to expedition entity. Whatever is on the screen has to make sense for why it's there.
Mhm.
So, sometimes that means repositioning chairs so that people can sit down and talk to each other. Well, what's in the background?
Yeah.
So we need to move things in the background so that it looks like it's a good background. We don't want anything, to make it look flat or be like, what the heck is that back there? So, it's all this little attention to detail that really makes a scene feel like it's full and it's lived in.
Yeah, and just and telling a cohesive story,
Yes.
because when we're at these locations investigating, we're there sometimes 12, 14 hours. If we're lucky, we get that much time. But that much
Right.
time translates to footage and being able to, yeah, taking the evidence and putting it out there and saying this is the evidence I captured, that's great. But when you're able to tell a cohesive story, I think that definitely takes talent and to cull it down into a manageable amount of space, that
I
people
I
wanna
always feel
watch.
I always feel bad because, Expedition Entity was give or take about an hour, more or less. And I wanted as much investigation content as I could. So
Mhm.
usually on average that ended up being 45 to 50 minutes. because that's our interaction with the spirits. That's them being able to tell their side of things.
Hmm.
But sometimes that also means that whoever's doing the interview, they only get 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and they sit for an interview for an hour, and I have to take all this great stuff and trim it down to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not a good feeling. It makes me want to, sometimes do a whole episode of nothing but interviews. But,
Hmm.
you know, sometimes you got to do the best that you can, and make sure that the most important things about the interview are being shared. And for us,
Exactly.
we did half history, half paranormal experiences. So, whoever the staff member, the owner, the director, the museum, whoever they were, it's important that they had the chance to talk about their experiences too, because a lot of times we saw that later in the night.
Hmm.
So, you definitely
Absolutely.
can't cut that out.
Right. I mean, and what do you choose? I guess you kind of let the investigation, I guess, sort of lead its own line at that point and see
For the
how
most
things
part, yeah.
go.
Yeah, we never did like the thing where they repeat the sound 3 or 4 times, or
Yes.
slow it down so that you could see it clearer. That takes up time. and
Yeah.
and when you're sitting in the room, is that what you experience? No, it's one and
Exactly.
done. So,
Mhm.
and it allowed us to save time so we could have more investigation content. But also the great thing is, because we were streaming, you could just rewind, just go back
Exactly.
and watch it again. You don't need that whole repeating 3 times so you could hear it 3 times. No, just rewind it.
Exactly.
So,
And that's what I like to do with mine is you put the people in the moment and they experience it the way you experience it, at least for the
yeah.
most part. Sometimes things don't translate over as well. But you guys have won quite a few awards for your pieces that you put out.
Yeah, Expedition Entity has, I think, 27 or 25 wins and just as many nominations. And then our big one is the Telly Award, which we put in
Yes.
for unscripted online series, and we got second place, beating out some much bigger studios for two guys sitting in my basement. And like, I think the entry fee was $250.
Okay.
So I'm submitting it. And I'm like, I'm totally throwing my money away. This is such, just burning this cash up. But you know what? It was actually the Broadhead Manor episode. I'm like, this is the best. This is the best I've ever done. We had
Mhm.
camera issues that were resulting from the ghosts, but nonetheless, it's the best I've ever done, and I'm just gonna take a shot on it. And then I got this email in like May that said, "Congratulations!" And then I almost passed out. And then I called Dan and I freaked out. And I'm like, "Oh my God, we won!" He's like, "What did we win?" "Oh, you don't know. We want to tell."
But that's I mean, that's a big deal. That is a big deal,
It is.
and the studios that you're going up against, I mean, those are what, probably multi people and just
Whole departments of people,
yeah.
dozens of them. And it's just Dan and I doing the episode. And like, when I took that, thank you, Bob. When I took that telly, and I really let it sink in that, "Oh, I,
Yeah.
I can't believe we actually won this." Then it became, "Oh, how do I compete with this now?
How do
How
you
do I get
top
how do
it?
I do better?" So it became a little bit of a stressor. And then we had episodes like the Roadhouse that was right up there. We had the double episode, the actually the end of season 3 and our series finale. We had a 2-part episode at the Freeport Masonic Temple. Just blew my mind, the activity that we had there.
Ah,
We had a guy on thermal sitting in a chair. We had the ghosts turning off the stage lights on command almost. We had very clear K2 answers when they're like 8 feet apart, sitting on a stage with no power sitting there. Like, how do you explain all this stuff that's happening other than this place is haunted?
right, right.
So season 3 was just phenomenal. And to have that telly, to be able to say that, we are able to stand next to the entirety of season 11 of A Haunting, they won a
Mhm.
telly. and then The Curse of Lizzie Borden. They want a
Oh,
telly. So
wow.
we're right there. So
Uh-huh.
it was a little eye opening. It's like, man, maybe we can do this. So
Yeah, and I mean, and if the folks in the chat room have not seen any of Larry and Dan's episodes there with Expedition Entity, excuse me, I highly recommend that because it's not just beautifully produced, but it's great stories between some with and some phenomenal locations,
oh
and
yeah,
just great activity, So you primarily do you investigate all over? Do you primarily do the Midwest?
it's primarily Midwest. We focus on the lesser known haunted locations of the Midwest, and that's pretty much because I finance all this by myself. So
Gotcha.
it gets extremely expensive because you know how this goes. This isn't
Yeah.
just an investigation. This is
No.
a production.
Yes.
So the investigation might start at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. or 7 p.m., but the production starts at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
and I'm there from 10 a.m. until 2 a.m. And most building locations, they want you to pay for that entire time slot.
Mhm.
And it can get very expensive very fast.
I
And
mean, yeah.
you got travel, lodging, like the cast and crew. I gotta feed them. It's
Mhm.
pizzas mostly, but you still gotta feed them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it's time consuming, and it's a lot. And then they try to do it
Mhm.
6 times in a year, on top of being in the master's program, on top of being Dan's a full-time corrections officer. It gets really tough.
Absolutely, and we're the same way at the jail. We have, if it's a team that comes in, they've got their time, they're investigating, but if they're doing a full-scale production and they need the day, we have to charge them for it because we
Yeah,
technically have to close, and so
yeah,
we have day tours because we're not I can't say we're a 24-hour operation, but we have day tours and night tours,
sure.
and
And
so
they're taking
yeah,
away your ability to book those tours.
yeah, yeah.
So it makes complete and total sense. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to pay those amounts. I'm just
No,
saying that
no.
I can only pay so many in a year.
Mhm.
So and having Expedition Entity end in January, because Dan, my partner Dan, if you guys don't know, he retired. So he fully retired from the paranormal. He's doing like landscape photography now. Doing a phenomenal job. A really,
Yeah.
really, really great job. It's much more relaxing, a lot less stressful. But it kind of left me by myself now. So you know, having all that time off has been really great for me because it's
Mhm.
allowed me to kind of focus on the new things that I need to work on instead of worrying about trying to maintain what we already had. Hi, Michelle.
Absolutely. So, if folks want to watch some of those Expedition Entity videos, where is it that they can go and watch those?
So Expedition Entity is a PARAFLIXX original series. It can only be watched on PARAFLIXX.
Okay.
The subscription is, I think, $3.99 a month, and then there's a 3-day trial to where you get the trial for free for 3 days. You can pretty much watch the entire series in those 3 days.
Okay.
But I will say that there are other fantastic shows on there
Yeah.
worth the 3.99 to check them out. But the episode that won us the telly is in a special category called the Paranormal Channel. Like how Netflix has like horror,
Yeah.
comedy. There's like a section called the Paranormal Channel, and those are all free for
Mm.
anyone to watch. So you can
Okay.
watch the award winner for free without subscribing.
Oh, that's
Um,
fantastic.
and that way, people can be like, okay, well, what did they do that allowed them to win this? Well, just go and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And remember that everything was going good until we got to the hallway, and then they broke my camera, and that's why the camera looks bad. And that's the only location it has ever looked like that, because it does not look like that anymore. So they did something to my sensor in my camera and made it look all red and weird looking.
Okay.
But that's not the
Okay.
first time they've messed with my stuff. We investigated there in season 1, and there's a clip in the very beginning of the episode. It's, I think, the season 1 finale, episode 6, and it's Dan and the owner Bill. and it's a haunted house during October, so the room's mocked up to be like a funeral parlor. And we're just sitting there talking, and I go and leave the room to grab something, and they're just kind of chit-chatting, and I just happen to leave a camera and the microphones going.
Okay.
And while I'm gone, they're just kind of chit-chatting. You see me walk into the room and walk out of frame, and then all of a sudden Dan and Bill both go and get this like really deep shiver.
Okay.
So one, the room had to have been 90 degrees.
Wow.
Dan's in jeans and boots and a t-shirt with his vest on. Bill is in a sleeveless shirt and shorts. It is not cold. And it's not warm enough to get like heat shivers.
Yeah.
It's just hot. And at the same exact time that they got the shiver, both of their microphones stopped recording and then corrupted the file all the way back.
Oh, wow.
So I go to, do my video editing. I line all my files up. I get all my audio lined up, and I see that the audio ends prematurely. And then I go to listen to it, and it's all the whole time. What
Oh.
what just happened? Luckily I had a backup mic in the room getting room audio. So
Yeah.
that's why, that section's really echoey because it's
Okay.
it's a room mic. It's not
Uh-huh.
made for that. It's like made for background sound. But yeah, it that was the first time they messed with my stuff, and then they did it again for the big episode, and Broadhead Manor is something else. I know
Now
you were
is
supposed to go, but I
I
don't think you
was.
have.
I have not gone there yet. No.
Okay.
And, Felicity, yes, she's from Canada, and she says it's
Okay.
always wonderful to find out about new shows to watch, especially at lesser known locations. I
Yeah.
definitely suggest looking at, Larry's stuff. Now, so there's some trailers here in your media kit. Are any of
Yes.
those trailers, the one we're talking about?
One of them is, yeah, the Broadhead episode trailer's there.
Okay, let's see here, because 'cause
So
I'm
I
seeing
think
2 Broadhead.
one of them is the
Ah,
Broadhead special, which that one's actually pretty cool too. There should be three, right? The two Broadheads
uh,
and then the Masonic Temple.
the Roadhouse is there too.
Oh, the Roadhouse is good too. They're all great
Okay.
episodes. They're all great.
I'll play one of these trailers. Do you have a suggestion on, which one I should play?
Ooh, well, I've told a lot about Broadhead,
Okay.
so I feel like playing that one is just kind of repeating some of the things I've said.
Mhm. Okay.
Let's do the Roadhouse because there's some
Okay.
cool things that happen during that investigation that come across in the trailer.
Okay, I'm gonna get that queued up here. If y'all will just
While
bear
she's
with
doing
me.
that, any of you guys in the paranormal and you do this kind of podcast thing, let me tell you, having a media kit on your website is the best
Oh,
thing ever.
you are not kidding.
Downloadable
From
images, trailers, talking points, it's all there.
uh-huh, and links. People, getting links is like pulling teeth sometimes because people change websites and they change
Hmm.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
This is so nice, and, I love it. As a host, it makes it so much easier when I'm researching and going through. So,
I cannot take credit for it. The idea came from Helkinson.
okay.
Lauren Helkinson. I can never say her last name. She did this really long post on Facebook about the importance of media kits on a website and then
Mhm,
detailed all the stuff that you should have. And I
mhm.
basically just followed the roadmap and I'm like, wow, this actually is phenomenal. So I
It
have to give
really
credit where
is.
it's due.
Nice. Alright, so, let's check out, the Expedition Entity Season 3, Episode 3 Roadhouse teaser. Let me cue this up. Here we go.
Well, Mary Jane was missing after that. She was missing for about 4 days.
Is this Mary Jane I'm talking to?
Also, most people don't realize or don't know that Stanley's head was completely singed and burnt off of any flesh.
Yeah. Is there a spirit that stays upstairs?
Jen has this little speaker where she can hear what you're saying.
Help. It's not a. I'm definitely feeling weird already.
What's in that well? Stop.
Has anyone ever been killed in this room before?
Stop.
Do you not want me to ask that question?
I appreciate it. Thanks.
What the fuck? What is that?
What?
We just saw something crawl across the
Huh?
floor. It just crawled across the
You
floor.
both
It's like
did?
a little
Yeah.
black shadow.
There's
or
a
something.
little black foot tall shadow.
And it just disappeared. It's gone.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Let me say this: the story there is just so intriguing and unbelievable. So in the mid 40s, this 17-year-old girl and this young 20s man, Mary Jane Reed and Stanley Skridla, lost their lives.
Okay.
And it's a very complex story. It involves her being a switchboard operator and him going into town to get his paycheck. And they met up, they had a drink. The last place they saw each other or they were seen together was the Roadhouse in Oregon, Illinois. And then they disappeared. Stanley was found the next day on Lover's Lane, pulled out of his car, and his upper torso was torched. Skin
Wow.
burnt off. I have photos of it. I did a trailer for the Roadhouse for like a separate thing, and I put that in the trailer, and it's actually really gruesome. But
Sounds like it.
the neat thing though is you can see in the photo like they shot him 6 times in the groin. So your first thought was he was doing something indecent and somebody shot him in the groin to send a message, right?
Yeah.
Well, his pants are open and he's,
Uh-huh.
but if you look closely at the pants, there's also bullet holes in his pants.
Oh.
So his pants were closed. They shot him 6
Yeah.
times and then they opened his pants.
To make it appear
Something
Okay.
happened and he was caught doing something he wasn't supposed to and someone took care of it.
Oh,
She was
wow.
not found. She wasn't in the car. She wasn't anywhere near the car. It was several days later. They found her in a culvert, like a
Okay.
little washout area on the side of the road, where they'd already searched before, in
Okay.
like waist high, chest high weeds, and her discovery and her burial were like within 24 hours. She was found, brought into the autopsy in the ground, which is
Well, that's odd.
highly suspicious.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really strange things that happened involving people that a lot of coincidences. Like the official suspect, well, the unofficial suspect that should have been the suspect was a sheriff's deputy.
Okay.
His wife was the coroner's assistant, and she signed off on the autopsy and the death certificate instead of the coroner. Strange.
And was this
So
during the 30s? Was that when this was?
mid to late 40s.
40s. Okay.
So Stanley was a Navy veteran,
Okay.
and they both sadly lost their lives. So Dan and I have been going there for years, talking to Mary Jane, and it's always been he and I. We very rarely have a female investigator that she can talk with as a female. So we brought
Yes.
Jen in and really just kind of leaned on her and said, hey, listen, we know we have a female spirit here. It's always been just us old dudes. Let's really try to get her to talk to you. And for some reason that night, everywhere we'd go, we'd try to start talking to her, about what happened. It was always stop, done, enough, leave, and multiple locations.
Okay.
And then there's a clip in there. It's shown very, very briefly of a close-up of Jen and then Dan's in the background, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan is doing an Estes session about 10 feet away. So he's, ears covered, basically staring into the wall with his eyes covered. And she's pulling playing cards and showing them to the camera because Steve's holding the camera with her, showing them to the camera and going, what's on this card or what number is this card? And Dan was actually guessing the numbers on the card.
Nice. I love it when that happens.
Until she got sick of playing the game. And then she went, done. And then that was it.
Love it.
Yeah, Oregon, Illinois. It's this little small town restaurant that you wouldn't think would have this super dark history, but it was also a speakeasy and a distribution stop for Al Capone before he went into Iowa.
Okay. Well,
So
I was going to ask if you thought it was mafia related or anything like that.
her death, not necessarily, but town politics played a part in it, which
Okay.
is connected to the mafia, decades before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that just the mafia connections, and the mafia, people die left and right,
Yep.
especially when they're running booze. And there's a
Yep.
history of somebody going missing there that was a mobster that potentially
Okay.
could be somewhere on the premises. So,
Interesting.
that's a dark connection that starts in the early 1900s and it just carries forward. Do you feel it
I
was
love that.
the deceased female communicating or the deputy's wife? So, we've never talked to the deputy's wife. It's always been Mary Jane. For the
Okay.
longest time, she was stuck in the building until just not too long ago. She was finally crossed over, and now she comes back.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, we've never communicated with the deputy's wife. He has actually stopped by once or twice and
Okay.
shut the investigation down. He gets her to stop talking. He had a really negative effect on Dan one time that made it into the episode.
Ah.
Because I'm just like, hey Dan, remember this? I'm just gonna pull this over here for the episode now. And he was,
Uh-huh.
Dan.
Yeah.
He's very mild mannered. He was
Yes.
flipping out. He was angry. He was like, "Come try that shit with me," and I'm like, "Okay, Zach Baggins." But like that's not Dan. And then
No.
the moment he went back into our staging area, he was perfectly fine again.
Wow.
So
Do you think that you and Dan being corrections officers, do you think that played a part with some of the kind of directing the activity the way that it is? Do you think that played a part in it?
so for the Roadhouse, no. The thought was that because Dan's corrections, that he might be able to get this deputy to
Hmm.
speak with him to be able to say, "Hey, was this actually you that did this?" But
Hmm.
no, he did not want to talk. Other places we've gone to, him being a deputy, a corrections officer, has hindered the investigation.
Gotcha.
Old jails, they don't want to talk to the guards.
No.
So they'll throw stuff at the guards. They'll say mean things to the guards, and then they'll ignore them. So that was always something fun to play around.
I love that. So let's kind of get in a little bit to the topic that we're talking about. So you've been getting your master's, correct? Or you just
I
graduated with your
haven't.
master's?
I
I love
just
it.
got it in May. I have a master's
Congratulations.
in communications, and my emphasis is through visual media, documentaries and narratives and print media, computer graphics and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's just how my school does film. They put it under communications instead of fine arts. I don't know why. I don't
Ah,
like it because the MFA is what's called a terminal degree. That's as high as you can go. There's no doctorate of fine arts.
right.
So if I wanted to teach at a 4-year university, if I had an MFA, I could do that. Well, because my school did film under communications, I have to get a doctorate in communications to teach at a 4-year
Oh,
university.
no way.
Or I have to go and get the MFA now. And it's like
Uh,
I did school for 6 years. I'm 36.
yeah.
I'm good. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Ready to
Yeah.
move on.
Well, let's so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about AI and the paranormal.
Sure.
And again, folks, if you got any questions, please put those there in the comment section. If you will, please put them in all caps, just so I make sure that I don't miss those. But let's kind of talk about that and the effect that it actually has, not just on paranormal, but the film industry in and of itself.
Yes. So I guess let's start with what is AI, right?
Hmm.
We've all heard AI. We've heard of, oh, AI can do this, it can do that, but what actually is AI? So AI refers to a simulation of human intelligence. And then they're designed to think and learn and do things like we can. Your Terminator, those are, robotics, but they're
Mhm.
able to mimic human intelligence, right?
Mhm.
So in what we have today, there's two types of AI. It's called a narrow intelligence and a general intelligence. And they're often called weak and strong. So
Okay.
your narrow or weak intelligence, that's like your Siri, your Alexa, because I don't want her to go off, your
Yeah.
self-driving cars, chatbots, email support. Those are all narrow. They need a
Okay.
prompt to do something.
Okay.
And they can do cool things if you give them the
Mhm.
right prompt. Like if I say, Alexa, turn on the desk light.
Mhm.
Really? Okay, thanks. So not very strong, very weak, very narrow-minded. And then you have the strong or the general intelligence. That's currently, it does not exist. If it were
Okay.
to exist, it would exist in cybersecurity, something that can basically 100% think for itself. And
Wow.
the closest thing we have to that is actually OpenAI's ChatGPT.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
even though it needs a prompt, it can still do things for itself. So for example, with ChatGPT, if you input an image, it can tell you things about the image based off of how it perceives the image. It can tell you intent. It can bring up humorous type things. And that might have nothing to do with your prompt. It might just be
Mhm.
what it read out of that image. So
Wow.
ChatGPT it kind of hugs the line between both a little bit. And that was released in 2020, so it's only been, actually, I think it was early June, so it's just 4 years old now. And
Wow.
they're already on, I think, like 4.1 or something. So there's been a lot of iterations of this, and it keeps getting better. Although from my experience, this newest one took a step back. It's having a lot harder of a time doing prompts and stuff,
Uh-huh.
but it also lost access to a lot of databases. So if I were to put into Chat GBT, who is Larry Eissler, it would not be able to tell me, because none of my
Okay.
stuff is in those databases from like 5 years ago.
Okay.
But if I were to be like, who's Zach Baggins, it would give me this long list of who he is, what he's done, who he's worked with, and all this other stuff, which is cool
Do you
because, oh, sorry.
No, 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 please, please.
I was going to say, because it's cool because for research purposes, that's incredibly useful.
Mhm.
I could be like, I'm going to write a book about Waverly Hills today, and I don't know where to begin. I could go to Amazon, I could type in Waverly Hills, they can give me a list of all these books, but I don't want to buy 50 books and then have them not be the info I need. ChatGPT, give me a synopsis of the history of Waverly Hills. Blah 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 blah. What book should I get that'll be talk about this subject? What book should I get to talk about the construction phase of the building? This book will give you everything you need to know. It can help you narrow your research down, but
Okay.
that also comes down to my intentions. Could I
Yeah.
strictly use it for research? Yes, and it could be very useful. But could I also use it to write the book?
Yeah.
Yes. And then I make
Yeah.
money off of it. And it's not a very good book
Yeah.
because AI doesn't write very good books. It's 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 both academic and stale and dry. And it's like, who wrote this? AI. AI wrote this.
As a teacher, did you have, because you were teaching, or you taught some classes,
Did.
what, as part of your master's? Did you
Yep.
have a problem with that? Because I know that there was some friends that I have. In fact, Christy's sister, who is there in Florida, as a vice provost, she was talking about a problem of students using Chat GPT to write the papers.
Hmm.
And did you have that problem of them not only using it for papers, but using it in design and using it in different programs?
Only minorly. Because
Okay.
we're film based, there really aren't very many papers to write.
Okay.
Our department, like our office, was split with the speech department,
Okay.
and they were having a hell of a time.
Oh, I bet.
Everyone was using AI to write their speeches, and they were bad. So the department head gave us a recommendation for a website to where you can input the text, and it'll be like, oh yeah, that's definitely AI. So
Oh,
we started getting scripts that were just
okay.
bad. They were formatted completely wrong, not how we taught in class. So I started putting the scripts into AI,
Mhm.
and they were spitting back as having being written by an AI software. So I went into OpenAI and I put in, write me a script about it was something about a nutcracker that comes to life and kills the rat king and yada yada yada. And it didn't write the nutcracker. It wrote a whole new story,
Oh,
but the formatting was atrocious. Like the
okay.
scene headings were all wrong and all this stuff, and just the dialogue was so bad. And I'm like, these kids are using AI to write their scripts. How lazy could they be? You only had to write 3 pages. So yeah, it's a concern. And for my department, not as much because
Yeah.
we're not writing heavy.
Yeah.
We're more practical heavy. So
Sure.
you need the film skills for us. But anything with actual writing, it's a serious concern because you're gonna have people that are gonna just turn in AI papers, and
Uh-huh.
then they're gonna get out there and someone's gonna be like, hey, listen, I need you to write this report, and I need you to do this, 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 and this, and this. You just got your bachelor's degree. You should be able to do this, no problem. And they're gonna
Mhm.
go, oh,
Yeah.
AI, help. And
Yeah.
it's not gonna work.
Well, you talked about like let's take the Waverly Hills example
Mhm.
that you had just mentioned. One of the things Chris and I were talking about this not too long ago, and she was talking about a case that had come up. It was a judge and the two lawyers, defense and prosecutor,
Okay.
and the defense or the prosecutor started stating briefs that nobody could find, and they had come from AI, and AI had written these briefs, and they were things that didn't happen. They were actually using them as a precedence there
Mm.
in the court case. So taking that and applying that to the research of, say, Waverly Hills, does AI have a way of culling out what is accurate research, or is that on your end that you then have to take that and look at it through a critical eye to see, what is accurate and what's not?
That is 100% on your end.
Okay.
Unfortunately, from what I've seen on just the basic consumer side, there really isn't a whole lot that you can really dive deep into there and be like, where did this come from? What are the original sources and stuff like that? You can ask
Okay.
AI to provide a resources list for
Oh,
whatever it wrote, and it will give you some of the resources, but it's not like asking an author for their resources where they could just give you the
yeah.
whole works cited page.
Okay.
So from what I've seen, yeah, I haven't seen anything quite like that where it made things up wholesale.
Mhm.
But I also don't use it a whole lot, so I mean,
Yeah.
but it's
I
weird
can
that it would do
see.
that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like, hey, I'm
and
gonna make a precedent that doesn't exist now. Hmm.
yeah, but then it makes you wonder though if it's somebody that's gone out, say an investigator that's put out a video, we'll say a demon video, or
Sure.
written something about demons there about Waverly Hills, and if it's, I guess, maybe keywords, metadata, whatever,
Hmm.
and it pulls that,
Hmm.
it could
Hmm.
pull that information to talk about it being and maybe it's totally not legit, but I guess it's just pulling from its resources that it has
So
that's out there.
I gave this AI presentation at the Chicago Paranormal Conference earlier this month.
Okay.
And there's a section in it I'll read you where I do something very similar.
Okay.
So this was in the concern about people making up fraudulent experiences and then capitalizing on them. So I told the AI to type in this prompt: make up a personal experience from a paranormal investigator who investigated Waverly Hills. Write the experience in first person perspective. And it gave me like 8 paragraphs. It was
Okay.
just massive. So I immediately said, shorten to 1 paragraph. And then it goes, I still laugh at this. During a chilling investigation at Waverly Hills Sanatorium, I encountered the unexplained. A sobbing spirit in room 502, shadows darting just out of sight. This is William Shatner, by the way. And
Yeah.
a mysterious mist captured on camera. The oppressive atmosphere was palpable. The EMF spikes and cold drafts in rooms long abandoned. As the sun rose, the eerie presence seemed to retreat, leaving behind a mix of relief and sorrow. It was a profound experience that solidified the sanatorium's haunting reputation and left me with an indelible sense of the paranormal that lingers within its decayed walls. And that's condensed down from 8 paragraphs. Just imagine all of that, but 8 paragraphs long.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I said, that's not going to cut it. Make it sound like a social media post. It goes, just wrapped up an intense night at Waverly Hills Sanatorium, folks, and wow, what a ride. Skull emoji, ghost emoji. Room 502 didn't disappoint. We caught an EVP of a woman's sobs that'll give you the chills. Shadows and unexplained mists, check. Creepy cold drafts in empty rooms, absolutely. As dawn broke, the heaviness lifted, leaving us with a cocktail of relief and touching melancholy. See, it went right back into that drama.
Yeah.
It
I
couldn't
mean,
help itself
it wasn't bad until you
until it got to that point. Yeah, as dawn broke, the heaviness lifted, leaving us with a cocktail of relief and a touch of melancholy. It's a romance novel author. That's what it is. It's writing a romance novel. And then it continues. It goes, this place is legit haunted. Stay tuned for the footage. It's gonna blow your mind. Hashtag paranormal investigation.
Oh
Hashtag
my
Waverly
gosh.
Hills. Hashtag ghost hunters. Hashtag spooky nights. Detective emoji. Crescent moon emoji. So obviously,
Wow.
if I took out the romance author part of this whole
Yeah.
social media post, that could be very convincing,
Very much. Very
but
much.
it never happened.
Oh.
And I've never been to Waverly. Have you been to Waverly?
I have. Yes.
Is there a room 502?
There is. There
Is
is.
there a woman
That's
that sobs in that room?
I don't know if she sobs. She's the nurse who it said she was the nurse that killed herself. There's speculation as to whether she did that or if it was a setup. There's been all these different stories
Okay.
behind Sarah, the nurse. And
Okay.
you know, I actually took an old nurse's uniform and put it up there in that room. Most of my activity that I got was from other areas, but that's one of the areas that Waverly Hills is known for.
So it took something that somebody talked about and
Yep.
regurgitated that into this post that it made.
Yeah.
But I never went there. I never experienced it, but I just made my 5,000 followers think I did.
And it's very specific, which is
Very specific.
yeah, because now
Yeah.
that might not work out as much like, say, the jail or Broadhead. That's more of the
Mhm.
lesser known places. But just like Waverly Hills, Broadhead and the jail have, we have Roy's cell. If people kept experiencing things in Roy's cell, they may, it might put that out there. It may go and look and see what other people have put and see some of the more famous stories that
Mhm.
come from there.
Mhm.
And that's what's kind of scary because it's almost like talking intelligently about something and saying just enough to convince the people that, well, clearly you were there,
Right.
but not saying too much to give away that you don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Absolutely. So I'm going to type into the newest chat GBT.
Okay.
What would you like me to type in?
Hmm. Uh, I'm trying to think of a location that is well known, but maybe not so much. Kind of like
Broken
let's
Bow,
do
maybe?
yeah, let's do Broken Bow. um, ask it to say something about a paranormal experience at Broken Bow.
Talk about a paranormal experience. Help if I spelled it right. Experience at Broken Bow Asylum. Is that Oklahoma?
I think so. Is that Sarah's location?
Ashley.
Ashley. That's right. That's
Ashley
right.
Storm. Well,
Ashley.
I mean, I think they might have put it up for sale. I've heard that, but
Okay.
I'm not 100% certain. So
Okay.
talk about a paranormal experience at Broken Bow Asylum in Oklahoma. Okay. Well, it's spitting all that up. So
Wow.
there it goes. It's doing its thing, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's still going, still going, still going. Okay. So that was too much, right? Let's
Right.
shorten to one paragraph, and we'll see what it says this time. The first sentence. Delicious. In the dense forests of southeastern Oklahoma, the abandoned Broken Bow Asylum, notorious for its dark past of inhumane treatments and mysterious disappearances, became the setting for a chilling paranormal encounter. One summer evening, a group of friends ventured into its decaying halls, where Emily, sensitive to the supernatural, felt an eerie presence. As they explored, they found Dr. Hargrove's journal, detailing cruel experiments and a dark force he awakened. Is Dr. Hargrove a true person?
I don't know. I don't know.
We'll have to assume he is. A sudden gust extinguished their flashlights. What? Reve- Revealing ghostly figures in patient gowns. Emily was pulled into a dark room where she discovered a hidden chamber with skeletal remains of patients whose spirits were trapped by Hargrove's rituals. She laid the
Calm
remains
down
to rest
now.
outside, freeing the spirits and lifting the asylum's oppressive atmosphere, leaving the friends forever haunted by their experience.
Wha- I think that's a little more than haunted if you're
Oh my god. So if I were writing, let's say, a fictitious book, and I wanted to use AI to make it a romance novel, apparently, I could totally do that. And it
Yeah.
would pull, I'm assuming, a real doctor's name, and I'm assuming the real history got pulled into that. I didn't read the 9 paragraph other one, but I'm sure it
Right.
was much more detailed. And that's why potentially we have to be careful of it, because
Yeah.
it can make up stories that are based on experiences that who knows how many other people have had, and make it
Right.
seem like your experience. And we all know how these some of these YouTubers are.
Yeah.
They're in it for the clicks, they're in it for the likes, the shares, the comments. They're in it for the money. If
Mhm.
they can take that experience and drag it out into some kind of a post and be like, "Hey, listen, this is what we experienced. Here's the video from that night." That's going to entice people to click on their video to get them paid, and it's all fake.
Absolutely. And I mean, it kind of makes me think of I'm drawing a blank now on the location
Mm,
that does this. When we have a team there, we will post their picture and try to get people to look up the team and follow them.
sure.
I'm trying to remember the location. I feel like it's in the Northeast. They make a post. They have the investigators basically write down in a book, their experience that they have, and most of them will write a
Oh,
full page. Yeah.
is that Hinsdale?
Hinsdale may do that. Um,
I keep seeing like the handwritten notes on Facebook of someone
yes.
that stays. I'm like, that's really cool. It's like an Airbnb checkout thing.
Yes, yes. The grand old lady had books in the rooms that had paranormal activity in it, and
Mhm.
people would document their activity. But this is actually a location. I feel like do feel like it's in the Northeast. And I thought that
Mm.
was such a cool concept because you've got it written in the other people's own handwriting. And it makes you wonder, and then too, I assume if it's written in that handwriting, it's not like making a post that would be searchable
Right.
by
Let's say
something
I
like that.
was a little shady and I happen to own a location and
Uh-huh.
I happen to have a book where people have written their experiences, but
Uh-huh.
I only have like 3 or 4 and I'd really like to have 10.
Yeah.
So what if I just used AI to write a bunch of experiences and then just
Uh-huh.
put a name to it and just be
Uh-huh.
like, hey, Cindy from California says she had a
Mhm.
great time here and this is the activity that she had. I could fill that
Uh-huh.
book up with no problem. I'd have to
Yeah.
rewrite it because that was a little too sexy, but
Mhm.
it'd be close.
Mhm.
And I could then use that to advertise my location, get more people in, and be like, "Oh, did you experience what Cindy experienced? Oh, you didn't. Well, that spirit just might not be here tonight. That's all."
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
yeah, it's fraudulent, it's deceptive,
Mhm.
and it makes people think that something's going on there when really it's just somebody kind of being shady.
Exactly. Exactly. So just kind of looking here to make sure we've got some different questions in here.
Okay.
Bob says, is there evidence of spirits disguising themselves as AI?
Not that I know of.
I've
Um,
not
I I
experienced.
I don't know why they need to.
It would almost be the opposite, as in AI
Yeah.
disguising themselves as a spirit.
Now I can say for the presentation I did, I reached out to a couple friends of mine in the paranormal that also do AI graphics. And I asked
Okay.
all of them, I need you to make me a legitimate piece of evidence using AI. And not a single one could.
Really?
So there is that silver lining. Right now, nothing is convincing enough to say that it's not AI.
Okay.
Every image they sent me, it always had this like watercolor look to it. Like it's
Okay.
not quite super realistic.
Okay.
Or there'd be like structural anomalies, like a door frame, but on this side it kind of starts to fade out.
Okay.
Or like there'd be a wall here, but on this wall, it's like the light coming in from a window. Well, where's the window?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
there's some things that it can't quite do yet. But if you got one of these super advanced AIs and
Uh-huh.
you start feeding it a bunch of paranormal images,
Uh-huh.
it will happen.
I
It
would I
will
would
be able
think
to reproduce
so.
them. So,
Huh. Well, and that kinda I'm a big conspiracy theory person, and
sure.
I spend my evenings on TikTok just going down the rabbit hole of all these conspiracy theories. And one of the biggest that I was seeing in the last little bit was this whole Princess Kate thing. I am not
Her
into the
cancer
royal.
thing?
Yes, yes, I am not into the royal family by no means.
Mm,
In fact, I'm honestly annoyed by them. But
sure.
I loved seeing those where the photos were coming out that they were altered, and then
Mhm.
watching the people. There was such a debate on whether her cancer video was AI generated, and there was people drilling down talking about the teeth disappearing with the lips, the,
Yeah,
eyebrows not moving, and I think I probably watched 50 people dissecting these different points of the video, convinced that it was AI.
sure.
Um, is this kind of a common thing that we need to really be concerned about in the future as videographers of
Oh, oh yeah. I cannot find. So in my presentation, I downloaded a video that I showed
Okay.
to just be like, "Hey, this is coming. We need to be ready." And I can't find that downloaded video, so I'm gonna send you the website, and maybe you can pull it up.
Okay.
Uh,
Are you sending it, let's see, in the comments or
I could do it in the private chat, maybe.
okay. Yeah, I'm doing the private chat there and I'll pull it up.
So this is the website. This is the video website for.
Okay.
Oh wait, I'm on my desktop. I'll just send it to you on Facebook.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll
This is
watch out for that.
this is the video website by the same company that did ChatGPT, OpenAI,
Okay.
and it is a basically film studio for AI. Okay,
Okay.
you got it.
Let's see
So
here.
on this website, there are hundreds of example videos of videos that are extremely convincing, but they're 100% AI.
Ooh, okay. Let me
And
pull that up.
there's one on here that I don't remember how I found it, but it's
Uh-huh.
a video of a cat like smacking its owner in bed to wake up.
Okay.
You can't tell. You cannot tell it's AI. It looks real. Oh, it's in the first category.
Okay.
So
Let's see
scroll
here.
down and then go to the left. Yeah, that one right there. Go back up. Yeah, that one.
Let's see
And then
here.
go left. There's a little arrow at the top of the video. So
Uh,
scroll up a little bit more. Yeah, see it right there?
this one?
Get one more. Keep going over. Keep going. Are yours different than mine? keep going.
Possibly.
Yours might be different from mine. That's weird. Oh,
I see
that's
the
my bad.
arrows.
So scroll down 2 more categories. Yeah, yours is a little different than mine. One more. That one. Now go left.
Okay.
One more. One more.
Oh, I see
This
what you're talking about.
this is the video
Okay.
that I showed in my presentation.
Let's see here. And that's not real.
None of this is real. This is 100% AI.
I mean, you can even see where the cat smushes her face down.
You can see her nose is, reddish. It looks like she might be sick.
Yeah.
The shadowing is all correct. The cat's hair is multicolored and matted in spots and randomly
Uh-huh.
striped. It's AI. 100% AI.
Oh my gosh.
And the software is creating this, right? So let's say I wanted to be a part of this, right? I wanted to have this software. Right now, it's currently not available.
Okay, so the difference, and correct me if I'm wrong, it messes up, looks like on the paw, where it mashes down.
Yes,
It's got
there's
an extra
there's
paw.
2 left paws.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's got the one paw down there, and you can see. But unless you're looking for it,
You could very easily miss it.
yeah.
Yeah. And with that, it wouldn't be too hard to fix that. You just put in more prompts to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But right now that just launched. So there's no current way to have that as a consumer.
Okay.
But their other software is only like $15 a month for the subscription. So,
Wow.
once it gets ready to be open to the masses, it's not going to be that expensive. It could be more expensive, obviously, because of what it can do. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
$100 a month, $500 a month. It's still cheap for what it can do.
And because it's I would imagine, take this place. Because I'm a graphic designer by trade, and it's going to be essentially sort of like your iStocks, your Gettys, those that's going to look for footage. But you have a greater array of what you can, instead of being like, okay, I want to find a picture or a video of a cat waking somebody up. You could be probably a little more specific and tailor your video without having to go do your video shoots.
Absolutely. Just imagine if I was, submitting footage to Adobe Stock. I could prompt anything out, and if I was detailed enough, and to make it look just as real as that cat, I could make anything and then just be like, okay, well, give me $1 for every download, and 1 million downloads later, and I'm sitting pretty. And
Well,
all
I
it
think
was just a prompt.
Well, I think the thing, it cracks me up, but it also it's laziness. I've been seeing a wide array of, again, graphic designer by trade. I do logos, draw, do all that. These people that have found the logo making software,
Yes.
and oh, it's awful. I've seen that. You see, and all the logos look alike. You see the paranormal teams, they're popping up and they're like, I got my new logo. And they probably, I don't know if the people charged for it, but I thought, this is actually really dangerous because
Oh yeah.
being someone who's read user licensing agreements and
Right.
stuff, or the EULAs for fonts, for different elements in these logos,
Right.
they've essentially, somebody is creating a logo, and then they are selling it to a consumer. They're
They are.
selling them the rights. The consumer, is not asking for, well, what's my licensing agreement on it? How can I use this? Because they're assuming they're getting a unique, and it's just because they don't know any better. But you've
Mhm.
got these designers that's going in and they're creating this and essentially setting people up for, they're using AI to do it.
Yeah.
Even if they're modifying the AI, they're
Yeah.
not really giving them a unique logo and fonts that are licensable fonts to be used anywhere
Yeah.
like a logo would be doing. I think
100% right.
that's scary.
I'm gonna send you over an image here, and oh, maybe not. It's too large. How big is this? Oh, it is too large. Okay. Well then, never mind. So in the narrative film that was my graduation film, I
Mhm.
used AI art
Okay.
because I needed it to be morphed and weird and trippy, and yeah, they charged me $50 an image to
Yeah.
make that, but it's also printable. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that is a big part of it, and
Mhm.
being able to blow it up massive, which I did. Actually,
Yeah.
I got a better thing. Hold on, give me 1 second. I can show you
Sure.
one.
Sure. Sure. And while you're doing that, I'm going to make sure I've not missed any comments here. And thank you guys so much for your comments and questions here. Um, and thank you, Wendy. She says that it is the Hinsdale House. I don't think it's Hinsdale House that I'm seeing. There must be someone else that does it, because for some reason Hinsdale House does not come up on my feed as much. But thank you for confirming that.
So these are the actual props from the film
Okay.
that I saved because they're going in my office.
Nice.
I printed them out on canvas, and canvas is very expensive to print on.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could just pull this out. Oh, this is the one I wanted to show you too. Cool. So this
Nice.
is created with AI.
Oh, wow.
Try to get the glare off of it. So if you look, like, the cars are like molded together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they look like real cars.
Yeah.
And they can do incredible things. The background,
Uh-huh.
it looks pretty convincing. So, this was supposed to be a trippy dreamscape type thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So, every character had one of those. This one is my favorite.
Oh,
It's got
wow.
melting and bleeding TVs and the reflection down there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of stuff that AI can do, and I got a turnaround in 24 hours.
No way.
In 24 hours, not only did I get that image, but it's big enough to print on this massive canvas.
Yeah. That's at least probably what, a 16 by 20 at least?
This is
Or
a 30 by 20.
okay.
And it also clipped the edges off the image. The images are longer. So I had to
Wow.
center them and do all that stuff. But, like, for what I needed to be all not good looking and be kind of
Yeah.
weird and twisty and stuff, it worked. But it's, if done right, it can look extremely convincing.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Especially when you're kind of looking at stuff like that is kind of has a different perspective anyways,
Yeah.
because like a smushed car, it's gonna look, it's not gonna have its fine lines. Its
Right.
imperfections are gonna be okay to show
Right.
on that.
Well, that
Um,
and if you really look at it, like, where's the front tires? Where's the rest of the car that's smashed into each other? They just kind of go meh, and they stop. You know, like it's a little off. It's like
Uh-huh.
something's missing. Well, yeah, because it's AI. It's supposed to be missing.
It's like the not deer that people
Right.
around here see. Yeah, it's just it's there. It's just, but it's not quite right.
Well, and
Ron,
that actually goes into a little bit on the presentation because in the 70s, I think, there's a robotics professor, Dr. Mori, that
okay,
termed the phrase the uncanny valley. And
okay,
that basically means it's this valley where, you know, our believability on something being human kind of goes like this until
mm-hmm.
it reaches about 60 to 70%, and then it goes womp. And it goes all the way down to 0 because it's not convincing anymore. Our brains are like, that's not human. Something's wrong with that. That's where
Yeah,
like your reptilian face people come from,
yeah,
or those robots where you're like, I don't like
uh-huh,
this. That's where
yeah,
those are. And then as you come back up again, that's where like your prosthetic hand is, or those two lifelike of robots. It comes back up again, and then at the very, very, very top is us. So in that
okay,
uncanny valley, there is where something feels really, really off, and it's like it instills a negative perception in us where we're
mm-hmm.
just like, I don't like this. That doesn't look good. Oh, what are the skinwalkers?
Yes,
You
yes,
ever see those human skinwalker videos where you're looking at it, you're like,
yes,
that's the
uh-huh.
uncanny valley, because you
That makes
know
perfect sense.
that's not human, or that's not a goat. I know what a goat looks like. That's not a
Uh-huh.
goat.
Well, so kind of tagging off on that. So as
Cat's going crazy.
a cat's going crazy. Yeah. So
Ooh,
so kind of
sorry.
tagging on that where Ronnie says AI makes it easy to fake evidence now.
Mhm.
So because we are dealing with the paranormal, and obviously it's not normal. So
Right.
apparitions, different things, it's not uncommon, I guess, for us if we see something manifesting, it may be, let's say, a human with no feet,
Mhm.
or something doesn't look quite right. For us in the paranormal, that's a common occurrence.
It
Most
is.
things don't
It
look
is.
quite right. So does that sort of give AI a buy on this and actually make it easier, or do you think that it's still kind of challenging to for people to use AI to fake evidence?
It's still challenging because AI sees we'll call it a spirit in this case.
Okay.
AI sees the spirit as part of the image. So
Mm,
it's not quite translucent enough, but it's also not there enough. It's a part of the entire image. Whereas when you see a
okay.
photo of a ghost, you know, you're not seeing the entire ghost. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's, you know, this part is clear, but you can see the edge of the shoulder line. But this
Yes.
part you can see fully. You know,
Uh-huh.
with AI, it's a little bit more normalized. And you know, let's say the feet are cut off, right?
Yeah.
You know, it might just have like a weird cut where they're both kind of evenly fading out,
Uh-huh.
whereas it doesn't happen that way for us. You know, like you could still see part of the shin, but the rest of the foot's gone, or
Yeah.
something like that.
It tries
And
to make the imperfection too perfect.
right. Or, you know, sometimes we're not seeing a person, it's part of a mist or a wisp or
Okay.
a shadow or a smoke. And we're getting the humanoid figure out of that. AI just
Okay.
doesn't appear to be able to really convincingly do it yet.
Okay.
But it also might not have enough to scan at the moment, you know? But images and really video aren't where my concern is yet. They're not
Okay.
quite there for the paranormal.
Where is your
Audio,
concern at?
audio,
Ah.
audio is the problem. Because let's take Expedition Eddie, for example.
Mhm.
Let's say, um, you know, I'm a talented, nefarious video editor, and I can fake an SB7 session. It ain't hard.
Mhm.
All I
Yeah.
need is the full session, and then
Okay.
I need a sound clip of, you know, a couple seconds of
Yeah.
whatever background noise would be on the SB7, the right?
Uh-huh.
I can input that over the original response
Mm-hmm.
so that there's no response at all and it lines up perfectly. And then I can add a response in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this software, it's called 11 Labs. It is a generative voice AI, and it's only $5 a month to get this service. It's already available. You can already use it. In my presentation, this gentleman has this audio file of his dad who passed away. He's
Okay.
telling a story. I think it's about a dog or something from his childhood. He scanned that story and used
Oh.
AI to have his father not only do the Lord's Prayer, but read Christmas stories for his kids, his father's grandkids, in his actual voice. It is almost identical. And you could do it right
Wow.
now. Right this second, you could go on there and you can do that same exact thing. So let's say
Nice.
who just died? Eastwood.
Uh,
Clint Eastwood just died, right?
he did?
I believe so. No, Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland died. The
Yes.
other white
Yes.
guy with white hair.
Yeah.
So Donald Sutherland just died. Donald Sutherland's been acting for decades. There are a
Yeah.
lot of voice clips of Donald Sutherland. All I have to do is get enough of those clips together to scan his voice, and I can make him say anything. Anything. So let's say I'm kind of a douchebag ghost hunter that likes to investigate people right after they die and they're celebrities, and I use their celebrity name to make me famous. I don't know who that is, but maybe that's who I am.
Who could
And
that
I
be?
go, I don't know. I'm just making it up off the top of my head. And
Mhm.
let's say I'm going to investigate Donald Sutherland. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask all these questions, and I'm going to give the 5, 6, 7 second pause, or
Yeah.
maybe I'll do an EVP session, which is even easier. And I'll just sit there and ask questions, and then take whatever response from this AI and drop it super low, and do whatever editing I have to do to make it sound just like an EVP. And now I have an EVP of Donald Sutherland directly answering my questions. Now, Donald Sutherland's voice, most people may or may not recognize it. It's not super
Yeah.
iconic, right? It's iconic to me.
Yeah.
I could tell it's his voice.
Like Betty White or something. I
Betty
could
White.
totally.
Betty
Yeah.
White's very convincing. You could totally pick out Betty White. I,
Yeah.
he's not dead, but Morgan Freeman.
Yes. Yes.
You hear Morgan Freeman voices all over TikTok, right?
Uh-huh.
Very common. That's the AI.
Well, Tennessee just passed a law. I think they called it Elvis, and it's an acronym.
Mhm.
And it was to protect musical artists because we've got Nashville and everything, but it was to
Sure.
protect them and their voices from AI. And it was that specific thing you're talking about here
Mhm.
of being able to take. You have some people like John Legend and some of these different artists who's embraced AI,
Right.
and you've got people performing songs that never performed together or never even sang the song. And
Mhm.
so through the Elvis Act here in Tennessee, Governor Lee, it was like a big deal when they
Sure.
passed that to
Sure.
protect these musical artists' interests because it really is a big thing of people taking their voices.
Well, and the writers' strike and the
Yeah.
actors' strike because of AI. They didn't want their face to be in a movie that person's gone. Who was it? Peter
Uh-huh.
Cushing, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
He's gone. They used AI to do a bad job. But like, who got that money? It was him. It was his
Uh-huh.
voice. It was his persona. But
Uh-huh.
where'd the money go? Like, he would have got royalties,
Yes.
but it wasn't him. It was an AI version of him. It was an edited version of him. So,
Uh-huh.
the SAG and whatnot, they went on strike because of that. But does that
Right.
really apply to what we're doing?
What's
Not
your
really.
thoughts?
Not really.
No, it
SAG
really
protections,
doesn't.
your music protections, it doesn't really apply to the paranormal unless I'm doing a production and it's on Amazon or Netflix or something like that. Well, then maybe. But when we're talking about YouTube or social media, enough to where it can put me as the nefarious video editor in a good place to where I can get into conferences and get paid to speak somewhere and talk about this great time I had investigating, you know, Donald Sutherland's ghost.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's not going to really show up on the radar of somebody else, like the
Yeah.
Screen Actors Guild or Sutherland's family or something like that. But it's going to propel me forward. It's going to get
Mhm.
more views on my YouTube stuff, on my social media content. It'll get me booked at conferences to where I don't have to pay anything to go to the conference. It'll just get me there for
Mhm.
free, and I might get paid.
Mhm.
But I did nothing to get there. I faked it all. And that's the potential it has. But, you
Yeah.
know, it all comes down to the person behind the screen, though. That's it. It all comes down to who you are as a person. It's just like the ghost. If you're a
Yeah.
crappy person in life, you're a crappy person in death. If you're a crappy investigator now, you're gonna be a crappy investigator later.
That's
It's just
that's true.
it's how it is.
Well, do you think it's gonna get to the point to where people are going to be with the way technology is evolving with, like, the virtual reality stuff, green screens? Do you think it's because I know my videographer, Josh, when we work together, I mean, he is amazing at, at videography and filming. Do
Sure.
you think it's gonna get to the point to where you have some people that are essentially going and investigating locations on a green screen and not actually in investigating a location?
The average perpetrator, no. It's 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 too much money. It's too time intensive. It's the skill level required to hide that in the finished
Mhm,
production. Like no one's going to be doing what we do and then applying those skills to that. They would be making serious money doing actual video production. And then they're
mhm,
not going to want to taint their name by doing
yeah,
this kind of fake stuff. Um, one day, if it becomes easier and um, more user friendly, potentially. I don't doubt anything. I've been in this field for 15 years now, and I've seen a lot of things come and go. But the demon craze, luckily we're on the tail end of the demon craze. We're coming down.
thank God, thank
But
God.
how many people created, a YouTube account and got 50,000 subscribers because they put out a video of a demon they encountered at a building that's never had a history of demons before, ever. But now there's a demon there, and everyone's going there to talk about the demon, and it's like, you know, AI is the next demon craze. It's gonna be something to where, you know, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to put something in there, and it's gonna be up to us to be able to look at that and be like, I've been there.
Mhm,
That wall doesn't look the same.
yeah,
I think that might be AI. So I don't know. I mean, there's websites, AIorNot.com. I think it's .com, where you can upload images to it and it'll tell you if it's AI. Depending how much they've edited it or made tweaks to it, it can tell you what software was used.
oh,
Because there's a lot
nice,
of different AI softwares
yeah,
because they have their own specific characteristics on their styles.
uh-huh,
Some are better at realistic, some are better at watercolor, some are better at anime style. They all have their styles. But
mhm,
at the end of the day, images are getting to the point now where you can input them into a website and be like, yeah, that's okay, that's AI. Text, you can do it. Audio and voice or audio and video, I haven't really seen that yet. So I'm hoping it comes. I'm gonna send you one more website
okay.
on Facebook here for you to click on.
Okay. And that's one of the things too that these folks were doing on TikTok was they were posting the video, and I'll just use, like I said, the princess as an
Yeah,
example.
yeah,
And it was coming back and saying, "Oh, the percentage of this being AI is high."
right.
And
There's
so
some
is it using
software that I don't
AI
know.
to
Yes, yeah, it's using AI to find AI.
find AI?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is great because there's something in the metadata or embedded in the image that's saying, hey, this is AI. This was created by AI, and it can find it. We can't find that for some reason. You know, it might be like a series of dots that the AI knows. Oh, that's OpenAI. Okay.
Probably almost it kind of makes you think of like again going back to the graphic design references, when people steal, for instance, say a Getty image online, and they go and they try to remove the watermark on it, but
Mhm.
what they don't realize is that there's this metadata that's inside of there that will track
It will.
when you start using it, when you try to print, when you try to send.
Mhm.
It may look like you removed it,
And
but
and
it's got its
videos have
tags
that
on
data
it.
too. The MP4 container contains all that stuff. You can tell a lot. You can
Okay.
tell what editing software edited video. So this website that I brought up here, it's called thispersondoesnotexist.com.
Wow.
Refresh the website.
Okay. Whoops, let me find my website here.
Just keep refreshing. Every time you refresh, it's a new
Huh.
AI generated face that does not exist.
No kidding.
And if you look at the bottom right corner, that's the software that created it. Which this
Okay,
one's
I
kind of
see
hard to
that.
read. It's Stylegan 2.
Uh-huh.
That's what they use to make these faces. Not a single one of these are real.
I mean, because I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, I know that person, or I've seen somebody similar to that person,
Mm-hmm. All AI.
and these are not real people.
Mm-mm. Every time you refresh, it's a whole new person. Which in my presentation, I have 3 pictures from this website. I've
Yeah.
sat there and refreshed. I've never gotten those 3 people back again.
Huh.
So there are thousands of these out there. Where they're at, I don't
No.
know. They're somewhere, but yeah, these are all AI generated faces.
Wow.
So it's coming. AI will be able to do paranormal photos. It will happen.
Do they are you saying it just needs to learn more? It just needs
It needs to scan more evidence photos. It needs to know what to look for. And for what AI is doing right now, there's not enough interest. Like you're talking about like a huge database with
yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands of images. Paranormal people are like hoarders. We don't share our
Yeah.
stuff very much.
No.
So there's not a whole lot of images out there for, what a true ghost looks like. But if you
Yeah.
got enough and you were able to get them into a database and scanned and allowed the computer to learn from it, it would start spitting them out. So I tried my best with OpenAI to make a ghost photo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very good at this, so I put very minimal effort into it.
Yeah.
It did not work very well for me. So this is the one that I finally got it to make.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, wow. Let me pull that up.
And that was after like 30 minutes of different prompts and different twisting the words and saying whatever I had to say, right?
There we go. Huh.
But
It's almost like your traditional.
can you see on
Wow.
the right-hand side, the corner of that wall where the light is kind of shining on it?
Yes.
Where's that light coming from?
Yeah.
Could it be coming from behind the ghost? Yeah, maybe, potentially, but with how bright it is, it should be coming from where that dark doorway is.
Uh-huh.
And it has that watercolor look to the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And the floor is very watercolor looking. It's not
Yeah.
quite there yet, but it's close.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. So what I ended up doing was I got frustrated. So I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna make my own ghost. So I used the AI to make a room.
Okay.
A haunted room. I don't remember what location I used. It was some haunted location. And I
Okay.
put the ghost in the image with like Canva. So it was
Ah.
very minimal effort. Very,
Gotcha.
very minimal effort. But can you see my fake ghost?
I can, and I'm gonna make that big screen here. I'll zoom in. It's still just a little too perfect, but
Just a little too perfect.
you throw it into a blurry pixelated image that's zoomed in to 3200% and take that and
Shrink the size down, download it,
shrink
and
the
then blow it up.
size. Yep.
Shrink it down, blow it up.
Go in and really almost start to destroy the image because the pixelation would need to match.
And
Um,
it would be convincing.
put it in a dark area and it'd be like it could be easily confused with pareidolia, I think, at that
Sure,
point.
sure. But if you zoom back out,
Mm-hmm.
notice we have 2 windows on the left-hand side, but only one of them has light on the floor. It's not quite there yet. Not yet.
Uh-huh. But do you think that people's lack of observation, because the human brain and the human eye is really a poor witness of something.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think, though, that people's lack of paying attention will sort of, I don't know how many people would notice that window there and just maybe think, oh, well, the the other reflection is just out of the frame.
They could. They very well could. I am on some very large paranormal groups on Facebook that share photos all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly reminding people to stop believing everything you see on the internet.
Yeah.
That is not a ghost. That is camera movement. You can see the
Uh-huh.
light trail go all the way back to the light source. It is camera movement.
Yes.
The
Yes.
picture was taken and then the camera moved before it was done processing. You have a light trail. It's
You mean
not
that's
a
not an
ghost.
energy source?
Right. It's not an orb. People believe things. The first thing they see, they're just like, that's a ghost. That's a spirit. That's the grandma. That's my aunt. Slow down. You need to slow down.
Yeah.
This is the internet we're talking about here. Okay. Let's
Uh-huh.
look at things critically. We're investigators. We need to do some investigating.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I blame social media.
I totally agree
As
with that.
as amazing as the only reason we're talking right now is because of social media, right?
Yeah.
We met online.
Uh-huh.
This is online on social
Mhm.
media, but at the same time, as outside of the paranormal, so as a people, social
Mhm.
media has done nothing but ruin us.
Oh,
We
I
want
100% agree.
instant gratification, confirmation bias, echo chambers. If enough people get into those groups that believe every single thing that they see, and there's enough of them, the people like me that are like, guys, stop it. That is not an orb, that's dust. We're just gonna scroll on because it's like I'm not
Mhm.
dealing with this. I don't want to fight with 25 people.
Yeah.
And somebody should be like, no, that's dust. You guys need to stop.
Mhm.
But it's like people want that instant gratification. They want that. That's a ghost. I saw a photo of a ghost. It's online. Here it is. It's not. You move the camera too fast and it wasn't done processing yet. You need to give it time.
Uh-huh.
Or
Double
it's double
exposure
exposure.
or
Mhm.
that's why for me, you won't see me post a lot of photos, evidence that I've found. Most of the time, I take photos just so I can get a good lay of the land of the
Sure.
area so that once I'm investigating later that night, I know what things look like in case things look kind of
Absolutely.
wonky or weird on camera. Because they do. Once we get into a location after dark, things look way different. And that's not to say that sometimes people don't capture stuff, because people do. We've shared evidence,
Yeah.
on this show, other shows I've been on that I don't always see it, or maybe I do, and it's something I can't explain. But
Sure.
one of the things that I do when I take pictures is I go in and I try to destroy the image,
Mhm.
because things are going to react a certain way once you go in and start trying to destroy it, like
Mhm.
shadow people, or just shadows in itself. Um, Now, one of the things I started doing, really just kind of for fun, is so you know how you can pull something into really just your standard phone app and it will do the filters on the face.
Mhm.
And it's searching for a face.
It is.
And I've had some interesting things come up when I've gone in because it's about 11-point system that I will run photos through. And one of those that I'll run through is I'll run an app that does search for a face to see
Yeah.
if it can detect it. And it's interesting to see what it will pick up on. And I think that kind of works similar with pareidolia, because it will look for the something that looks like eyes, something that because
Mhm.
you can do it with sunglasses,
Mhm.
and it's just looking for constant. Excuse
Bless you.
me. Thank you. It's looking for those constant shapes to be able
Right.
to try to map a face out. So it's
Well, and
interesting
that's
to
the
see.
SLS in a nutshell.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
Exactly.
By the way, SLS is AI, so don't let anybody fool you. It is AI software, but it
Very
is
true.
designed to find a body. That is the whole point of the Kinect gaming system, was to find your body so that you can match up to the player on screen. It will find something that gets close. I owned a Kinect. I had the Kinect
Uh-huh.
gaming system. I played it all the time, and it would constantly grab onto my chairs, a vacuum, a broom leaning against the wall. It would think that's a person standing up. It would grab onto that.
Uh-huh.
These companies making these SLS cameras, they're not going in and fundamentally changing the software on the Kinect. It's not going to be a different enough to where it's not going to find a body if it wants to. But how many videos have you seen of a ghost sitting in an armchair?
Mhm.
No, no, that's the armchair. It's not in the armchair. It is the armchair.
And that's,
It's fine that
it's
way.
it's an example of a good idea, good intention, I
Hmm.
think. Now, how it's used and how it's marketed later on, but I think all of that stuff is really interesting thinking outside the box to see, well, could
Yeah,
this detect? Could this do this? And
I think the only way that you're going to be able to truly say that that could be paranormal is if the room is completely empty.
yeah,
If there's
and
nothing
not
to grab
moving it.
onto. How many times in the paranormal have you heard the term false positive?
Lot.
Everything. Oh,
Yeah.
everything has a false positive, especially EMF. There's always a false
Yeah.
positive with something,
Yeah.
but people never say false positive with the SLS.
No, that's
It's
true.
it's grandpa sitting in the chair. Is it? Is it though?
I think you have to look at the situation and, like you said, look at what is there that it's mapping.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And the SLS is just the expensive version of AI software kind of running amok right now. But there are cheaper versions. There are things that you can get on your cell phone that do the same exact thing. Have you heard of
Mhm.
GhostTube?
I have. I have.
GhostTube Seer. It basically creates art based off the magnetic readings of your phone sensors, like the magnometer and all the different sensors in your phone to create AI images based off
Uh-huh.
of how the spirits manipulate those sensors.
Okay, that was going to be my next question on that, the Seer app, because we've had
Yeah.
several people use that at the jail.
Hmm.
And I had never Chris actually just got it because we love experimenting with that stuff there.
Sure.
She just got that. So is that what the theory behind that is that it's using
That's what they
that
describe
from.
it as. That's
Okay.
that's that's what they say. They like the description on the website. It says it's using the sensors on your phone, and that's how the spirits interact with the device, and then the AI interprets that.
Mm. Hmm.
But okay, interesting. But they also have their own version of an SLS, right? It goes to
Yes.
SLS, and it combines lidar on the devices that are compatible with lidar, which I don't know very many phones that are compatible with lidar.
Okay.
So my phone isn't. I don't know that. But it also uses the depth sensing lenses and cameras to detect humanoid objects.
Hmm.
Like that's their description on their website. So it's using the SLS software to find a humanoid shape and putting a stick figure on it.
Interesting.
It's the power of, yeah, it's suggesting, hey, I think this is what a ghost is, and people are jumping all over it. But it's all AI. It's all done with AI. And now they have the Ghost Tube lens, which is essentially a VR headset that puts all that stuff on your eyes now. And then you could walk around and do Estes type stuff with whatever's going on in there, and being able to interact with that too now. And then you've got the Vox, which I think is an SB7 type app.
I think so.
It's a radio streaming stuff. But I from what I remember, it's also something to do with the magnetic sensors of your phone. They also have like the original app, which allows you to like do the obelisk stuff,
Yeah.
spitting out random words and whatnot. Which again, how it's using the sensors in your phone to determine that's the word that it needs to be. But how?
How? Yeah.
How? And how does the AI determine that's the word? Like if the magnometer reads 0.07, the ghost meant to say hello. Okay. All right. AI and the paranormal. Don't get me wrong. Like for public events, they're super entertaining. People love it.
Yeah.
It's instant gratification. You can
Yes.
see the response right away. And because you're only going to be with that investigator for 30 or 40 minutes, you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff, and you paid money to be there.
Yeah.
I get it. But how many times have you sat in the dark for 40 minutes and got nothing?
More times than not.
Exactly. Because
I mean,
that's not how it works. Sometimes they
Yeah.
don't want to talk for a while.
I mean, that was our whole live this past couple hours ago. It was quiet in comparison. The last live we did there, I had a full shadow figure walk in front of the screen on the live. Well, that's rare. That doesn't happen that often, and especially on a live. But what's crazy is after the live, no REM pods, no tripwire, nothing lighting up, except for on a couple occasions. And then as soon as we go off the live, I'm sitting there while Chris is packing up, watching her through this. REM pods going off like crazy. Everything's lining up because we're off the live. But that's how it typically does. It's just you'll have those times. And then those public investigations, like you mentioned, they're challenging because it does become a larger part entertainment
It is
versus
100%.
Yeah.
I can't bring items that take 10 minutes to explain to them how to use, and they might never use it because I just ate up a quarter of that group's time and they got nothing out of it. So I need to bring the stuff that is more likely to get interaction right away. When Dan was there, dowsing rods. Dowsing rods always work. SB7, the Phasma box, the Necrophonic, cat balls, the REM pod, K2s, just putting them out and seeing if something happens. And if nothing happens, start telling some stories and hope that the ghosts start picking up on, hey, I need your help here. Come play with this.
Yes, because otherwise taking a mel meter and walking and getting, a spike on a mel meter or something, we may sit there and be like, "Oh my gosh, it's totally spiked way up." Well, to the average person who's spent $45 to be in here and investigate, doesn't
But
really mean too
they
much.
also can't see the mel meter because
Exactly.
you're holding it.
Exactly.
They can't see it. They can't see, hey, that jumped up 20
Uh-huh.
points. It's 20 points higher now. Well, what does that
And
mean?
that's not
Well, now I
normal.
got to explain it. So
Uh-huh.
so that's why the flashy red and yellow lights are great because, hey, you see that red color? Red means strong. And
Uh-huh.
I can explain that really quickly.
And
Oh, you heard
flashlight.
the alarm from the REM pod. Something's touching with it. It's a proximity sensor. It's going off because something touched it.
And flashlights, because that's something that's not supposed to turn on and off by itself.
Exactly.
And it's you know and understand the usage of it. It's being sort of used outside of its normal usage, but in a practical manner. And it's doing what it's not necessarily it's doing what it's supposed to do in an unusual way.
Right.
So
Right.
it
And
is very different.
and they're easy to bring into groups to move around the building. You just toss them in your backpack and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
the entertainment side of the paranormal has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
And I'm in the entertainment side, so I completely acknowledge that. It's like the super science side of the paranormal. You
Mhm.
have to have it. You can't have the paranormal without the science side. As
Absolutely.
annoying as they can get sometimes, where they're like, look at this new $700 gadget I made. I'm not going to buy that, thanks. We need them because they do come
Yeah.
up with some great stuff. The flux, the red
Yeah.
and green yes and no,
Mhm.
that's a proximity device, but
Mhm.
it's super clear on what it's being answered with. If it's on this side by 8 feet, it's yes. If it's on this side by 8 feet, it's no.
Yes.
Cool, we can have a conversation.
Mhm.
Just like we need the science side, we have to have the entertainment side,
Yeah.
because the field doesn't grow. You don't get new people interested in it, and you don't get to share cool stories.
Mhm.
You're on the entertainment side. This
Mhm.
podcast is the entertainment side.
Mhm.
Ghost Biker Explorations, your public
Mhm.
speaking, that's
Yep.
all the entertainment side.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we get a bad rap because of people on the Travel Channel that fake things and give us all a bad rap. Like the entertainment side gets a bad rap as a whole, and it's not
Mhm.
all like that, but it's still something necessary to have. Otherwise, no one's gonna buy your $700 device that's a paperweight. No one's gonna go and listen to you speak. No one's gonna go to this conference and learn about the history of the Black Hawk War of 1832 and the Battle of
Mhm.
Stillman's Run in Stillman Valley, Illinois.
Mhm.
Gotta have the entertainment side.
And speaking of that, tell us where you're gonna be, Larry.
I'm all over the place. um, the next one I have coming up is an investigation at Broadhead Manor with Sam Beltrusis on July 20th. There is an expo during the day, but I think that's my son's last baseball tournament of the year. So I have to miss the expo, and I'm coming to the investigation part. So I will be there for that, assuming we don't get any late starts or anything because of rain.
Mhm.
After that, I'm at the Battlefield Bash in Gettysburg. My first time
Mhm.
there. I'm super excited. That's like on my top 5 places to go. That's always been one. So I get to
Mhm.
scratch that off. I'll be doing my workshop on producing paranormal documentaries at my booth as breakout groups. So,
Nice.
anyone that wants to come and learn about documentary making and film making in general, come and sign up for a session. It'll be throughout the whole weekend. Um, After that, the Paranormal Rockdown is in Edinburgh Manor. There's an investigation that night, as well as the conference there. But that's my birthday.
Oh, special
I
day.
I get to investigate Edinburgh Manor on my birthday, and I've never investigated there before. So
Ah,
I'm
right
really
on.
excited about that. Michigan Paracon, very much the same thing as Gettysburg. I'll be doing breakout
Mhm.
sessions at my booth. Chris Fleming's pop-up Paracon in Woodstock, Illinois. He did one last year. It was one day, and I was on the panel. And this year it's 2 days, and I'm doing one of the panels and a workshop. I should ask him about
Okay.
that. I don't remember what I was. He wants me to do the producing the paranormal workshop, but I don't know
Okay.
what panel I'm on. After that, the Fox River Grove Mystery and History Tour. That's a community event that I'm doing with a local library that kind of does a walking tour through the town of Fox River Grove. Very, very, very fun. That's actually organized by Dave Schrader's daughter.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah,
That'll be
they
fun.
live really, really close to me. The one after that is the Seance at the Roth House. This is actually a wild event. So this is put on by my friend Neil Gibbons and Graveside Paranormal. It's an expo during the day. You get vendors and speakers, and of course my really good friend Diet there. And at night, there's going to be a seance. And
Nice.
this is taking place at the Roth House. Have you ever heard of the Roth House?
I've not.
Have you heard of the Watsika Wonder House?
Yes. Yes.
That's the Roth House.
Okay. Okay.
So the Roths were the family that owned the house, and then the Watsika Wonder was Mary Venom getting possessed by Mary Roth. And I believe it was
Okay.
for 15 weeks. Mary Roth was the first documented spiritual possession in the country. And after these 15 weeks, Mary Roth left Mary Venom's body and all her ailments were healed and all this very, very, very complex story. So what we're doing is we're having a 200-person seance,
Oh,
funneling
wow.
all of the energy into Diet in the center and 10 VIP ticket holders that are at the center table with her.
Okay.
And if that wasn't wild enough, we're going to film a documentary about it,
I like it.
which is a whole nother thing I have to edit now.
Just add it
So
to the list.
add to the list. But we're gonna have security cameras up in the Roth house, and we're gonna see if stuff starts moving and stuff starts happening during the seance, and then there's gonna be an investigation after the seance, and we're gonna see if that activity just picks up out of nowhere.
Nice. Nice.
And for the people that are a part of the seance, there's gonna be testimonials where they can be like, "This is what I experienced," and stuff like that. And it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be absolutely wild. So there is a new community event that I just had the meeting for yesterday, so it's not quite set up for, but it's very similar to the History and Mystery Tour for a local library. I'm
Okay.
actually getting a lot of those interested, and I'm down for it because it's a 10-minute drive from my house.
Uh-huh.
So they're really easy. And then right now, my last event is the Bell City Paracon, and I don't know what I'm talking about yet. And the only person I know of being there as a guest is Scotty Rorick, who is
Okay.
a really close medium friend of mine. But yeah. Oh wait, I think I missed one. Can you scroll up?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the old image. Oh, I should update this image on the website, I bet. So September 14th, I'm also at the Illinois Paranormal Conference in Rockford, Illinois. I'm just vending. It was a last minute edition, and they're like, "Hey, would you like to come?" Like, yeah, I'd love to come. So Chris Fleming is the keynote speaker there, and that's at the Veterans Memorial Hall in Rockford, Illinois, and it was like one of the very first places that Dan and I investigated as a team.
Okay.
Before that, we always just went to cemeteries as he and I, or little things like that. But the Vets Hall was like the first time we sat down and filmed an Expedition Entity-esque style YouTube video. And it ended up being an episode of the show, actually 2 episodes of the show, but incredibly haunted place. I just went there in May with Haunted US, the website, and they did an article and an investigation with me and Scotty Rorick, and he actually got pushed down in the balcony, almost off the balcony, and like cut his hand up really bad, cut his face up really bad. One of the grumpier spirits there did not like him.
Okay.
So very haunted place. Definitely be careful near the balcony because it has like 3-foot railings because they're all original. But yeah, I all of that. I've got 2 books I'm working on, 3 documentaries, which you're hosting one of them.
That's right.
Let's see. I have a new show that I'm trying to create that keeps getting bumped further and further back. I really need to finish that. What else am I doing? I'm starting to lose track of everything now. Oh, I'm also a baseball coach for my 15-year-old son's travel team. So every Thursday through Sunday, I'm off doing that. Yeah, there's just so much going on.
I love it. And guys, I highly encourage you to go check out Larry's Linktree. He's got, he is active on all the social media pages.
Well, not really. I'm mostly active on Facebook. My Twitter, I don't even have it on there anymore. I don't like using it. My Instagram kind of mirrors stuff from Facebook. It auto posts. TikTok I got logged out of and I can't figure out how to log back into. So it's just Facebook now.
Okay.
I've given up.
Definitely go on here. We've got the links in the comments here. We've also got the link to his Linktree, and it's got his website, which has his we were just pulling up. It's got his media kit and such on there, which is, like I said, it's fantastic. And go show some love to our content creators, because Larry is, like I said, I'm very fortunate that you were able to have time to sit down with me tonight, as busy as you are.
I'm fortunate that you had the time to get me in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't miss it.
Well, hopefully the next time that we meet, I'll have something to show for the documentary that you're in. I hope.
Oh, that'll be so much fun.
I hope.
Yeah, I know. I saw where you were working on it, but if you're like
I was
me,
doing great. I was doing great. I had all, like, your shots are pretty much lined up and ready to
Okay.
go, and I'm inputting, the stock footage for certain things.
Yeah,
Like when you're talking about the bus, like I don't have a bus, so I have a stock footage of a bus.
yeah.
I'm putting all that stuff in, and then all of a sudden, I get an email from a book publisher because I'd submitted one of my books, and they're like, "We don't want that book, but we want this chapter of that book in a new book by itself." And I'm like, "Ah,
Uh,
you want me to write a third book? Come on."
shift
And then
around.
someone else that I was messaging with, they're like, "Hey, could you do an ebook for us?" I'm like, "All right, okay, sure." So all of a sudden, I'm working on that now, and here's my laptop going, "Hey, finish Miranda's doc. You can do it."
That's right. That's right.
I'll get there. I just
Just
need a whole
more.
bunch of money, and then I'll just send it to somebody else to edit,
There you
and then I'll be
go.
good.
There you go.
So yeah,
No.
it was great. It was a great doc. Miranda was fantastic. She didn't get to see some of the other working parts, but we interviewed a historian that just did a great job explaining the history that she did, and the research she did, and helped explain some of the urban legends. A couple people that have background knowledge on the urban legends gave a lot of interesting information. We did a mini investigation of the cemetery that she talks about in the documentary. So it'll all come together great one day
When it comes together.
when it
It'll
comes
happen
together.
when it's supposed to happen. And,
Yeah,
and I love that. And, to me, that kind of has a special place, because we've all got those cemeteries in our
yeah,
area that we've heard these local legends and stories about. And I think what you guys were doing on that is fantastic. The story's great. And I cut my teeth doing investigations in cemeteries. So to
yeah.
be able to be a part of that, it was
Well,
just really
you know,
cool.
like the whole urban legend thing, that's kind of your cup of tea.
It is. It
So,
is.
and then to be able to have you come in kind of like the ghost biker, talking about how you've been doing this, you've been traveling the country doing this whole urban legend thing, and that's why you're
Yeah.
here. Like,
I
totally
love
cool.
it. I
Totally cool.
love it. I love it. Well, again, thank you, Larry, and can't wait to see your new projects that you've got coming out. We'll definitely be following along on that. Keep
Yeah.
us posted. We'll have you on again. And folks, again, go over, like and follow Larry's stuff. Check out his videos there on PARAFLIXX. Check out, his social media sites and stuff that we've got listed there on the link tree, and visit some of those paracons where you can participate in
Yeah.
some of his breakout sessions. So
Yeah. That'd be
you'll be
awesome.
glad you did.
I
Yeah.
have an ebook that's coming out here soon. I actually put the first teaser image up just the other day. Um, I can't do much else yet. I can only tease so much, but I don't have that image on my phone for some reason. I was gonna send it to you, but I guess not.
Mm.
Hmm, I could have swore that was on my phone. But the official pre-order starts Monday, which is the first, right? Monday? Yeah,
Yes.
Monday the
Yeah.
first. So and then the book itself comes out the 21st. So right in time for the Battlefield Bash.
Yes.
And it's an ebook, so it'll be very, very, very affordable. It'll be very, very, very cheap. I'm gonna send you the Facebook image so you
Oh
can
yeah,
see it.
please.
Because for some reason I don't have it downloaded on my computer, even though I made it on my computer. Because why would that be a thing?
Right? Okay. Nice.
So that's my tease. And then on Saturday there'll be another one with a little bit more ripped off. And then on
Okay.
Monday the 1st, it'll be the full cover, full display, and you'll be able to pre-order the ebook for just a few dollars. And it talks about some of the things mentioned tonight, not about the AI, but it talks about some of the other things we mentioned tonight. So
Okay.
definitely worth a read for a couple bucks. And like I said, it'll pre-order starts Monday. It comes out the 21st, and then everybody will be able to read it then.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be looking forward to it.
Sweet.
And yeah, so just kind of as a programming note, again, next Thursday night, we probably will not, well, we definitely won't have a show next Thursday night, being that it is 4th of July. We will be doing extended hours at the historic Scott County Jail. We'll be opening early. Our typical hours are 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., but we will be opening earlier that day. We will have the escape room running all day long. We'll also be doing guided tours, and that will be going up until the fireworks. That will be, I think the fireworks are at 10 p.m. So it's going to be a very, very long day next Thursday night. And but we hope that you'll come out and see us at the jail, and then we'll pick back up the next week that next Thursday night with another great show and another amazing guest. And just stay tuned for more information on events, motorcycle rides, tours, and other cool and interesting things that we've got going on the next little bit. So, so everyone, I hope you have a wonderful week. And again, thank you, Larry, for coming on. We appreciate it. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.